Yes, indeed. Peace, love, and life, family. Welcome back to Moments with Mila. Thank you all so much for just taking this few moments to spend with us and dedicate this time to your overall health and wellness. I want to thank those of you who will tune into this live when you get into this live, and also want to thank those of you who will attend the replay, or rather watch the replay later and get all this good information that I am sure you're about to get on this night, on this Friday the 13th. How you doing, Sister Crystal?
I'm great. I'm great. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing well. I feel really good. Today was just a good day, and I love any opportunity when I can, work in my home space. I don't know, it just does something for me spiritually, when I can just take that time and do the things that I need to do, focus on wellness, take care of the home. I just feel good. I feel like a woman. That's the best way to say it.
What's up?
So, how was your day today?
It was fast. We got Saturday school tomorrow, so working on some lessons for tomorrow. We're going to be focusing on Dr. King, and then we're going to be preparing for Dr. King Day over in Holly Springs, Mississippi. So it went fast.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to read a book a week, so
yeah,
we'll
you
see how
own
that
it,
goes.
as
But
always.
yeah, it's been a good day. I came home and cooked, and I'm feeling good too.
Same thing. So I did some light cooking today. That was like, all right, I know y'all don't want to hear about everything that we did today and what we had going on, but I had to talk to my sister like I needed to today. We chatted here and there, but we had to catch up. So again, we are continuing our men's health edition of wellness, and tonight's topic is basically you are what you eat. Another brother shared a comment who shared the post. He said, your food equals your mood. So that speaks volumes to the reason why we're continuing this topic. And one thing that Sister Crystal and I talk about often, right before I'm going to bring our guests on in a second, we talk about often is how, so frequently we hear it said, I love black men. I love black men. I love the black man. Well, you can't just love him with your words. You have to love him with your actions as well. And sometimes that means pursuing things that he may not necessarily want to pursue for himself. I know with my mom, her biggest struggle was just getting my dad to take care of his health. That was her struggle. But she did try, and that was an action of love that she was showing him. And that is what Sister Crystal and I are doing, trying to just show that action, right? And so the past couple of weeks, we talked about relationship wellness. This past week, we had Brother Amun on, and he talked about how discipline is truly an honor for your body. You need to work out as a man, especially as a man. Weightlifting is important as men. He talked about the difference between working out for a woman being on her level and a man being on his level, but still, being on that same equal path and journey to wellness, right? So we wanted to dive a little bit deeper with tonight's segment and really get to the wellness thing at the cellular level. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our guest, Brother Todd King, who is an herbalist-naturopath, a black man. Yes, and as I said before, I think it is important for black men to hear topics related to their health and wellness from black men, right? All right, so we're going to bring Brother Todd on and allow him to introduce himself before we start grilling them. Y'all, come on, listen, get your questions together, because at some point you all will be able to, we will share the link for the StreamYard, and you all will be able to come on camera and ask him some questions for yourself toward the end. The last 10 minutes, he has graciously agreed to give us that. Brother Todd, how you doing?
I am well. Peace and war. How's everyone doing today?
Doing well.
Okay.
Doing well.
Well, Todd King here. I'm thankful to be here with Miss Mila and also Miss Crystal Denise. It's kind of a family affair. Shouts out to Ashe Academy, Black Liberation Movement. Those
Come
people,
on.
So those are people I definitely feel a certain amount of love and energy for. So, I'm glad to be here to represent that and help. With that being said, my name is Todd King. A little bit about me. I graduated from Middle Tennessee State University with a major in business management and a minor that was mathematics. I started a companies here and there, some successful, some not so much, but the experience was gained and the knowledge is still being retained and used to this day.
That's right.
About 12 years ago, when I was shifting in between some things in life, I come upon naturopathy or herbologists and things like that, and treated my body right. I think I didn't have a real episode of bad health per se, because I had stopped eating pork a long time ago, beef and red meat. So it was kind of a gradual progression, but the bug hit me. The bug hit me, and I just began to just dive deep into the actual aspects of naturopathic and herbologists, and then the metaphysical aspects of how you're treating your body right and what those things do for your overall spiritual being and your overall welfare and health. I was mentored about 7 years ago by Dr. Bradley M. Frezza. He's there in Memphis, Tennessee. He's about 30 years into the industry. He was a master herbalist. He was a naturopathic doctor, all certified. And he just opened up his database to me and allowed me to sit kind of like cosign just on some, vibing type of thing. And that was very beneficial. And he allowed me to have his whole database, so I was sparked real well. Mm-hmm. And so I thought about it a while back. I was like, how can I synergize this and this understanding and this purpose and passion with my ancestors? And it kind of hit me. I was reading this book with Dr. Sebi. Let's refer to Dr. Sebi. Speak to him. He talks about the African genome. Mm-hmm. The African genome, how we have a certain synergy with the actual herbs and things of our homeland. So, I took a trip. I took a trip to the homeland, and I started to sit with some of those griots there for a period of time and learn some of those ways and learn some of those ancient processes that they use for their herbs to heal some of the same things we heal over here. So they kind of sparked me a little bit. And I also had my kind of like my spiritual mentor. Everybody knows Dr. Layla Africa. Met him one time before he passed away in Memphis, Tennessee. So all these things just kind of allowed me to pick up the torch and begin to push forward with this. So what I want to bring now to the people is something more about African-centered herbs to our genome here in America. It's all good to have ginger and ashwagandha, some things like that, but now we want to bring specific African ingredients to our particular place over here in America. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I just want to continue to do that and just show that we need to be accountable for our actions to ourselves, to each other as a nation, to begin to heal. And it starts with the self once again, and we need to be accountable to each other, male versus male, female, male, all these things that we have to encounter right now before we even get to, white supremacy, quote unquote. That's about it. But like I said, we're here. Thank you to Mila and Crystal, of course, for beginning to open this dialogue for men, which is necessary to, I guess, bring the same engagement between black man and black woman.
Ashe. Absolutely. True and absolutely correct. Part of my questions that I had to start with, you pretty much answered within what you just said. So hope you all were paying attention. Again, I told you before we even started this broadcast, I said, get your pen and pads out, have your questions ready, because the brother's going to be a wealth of knowledge. All right. So one thing that I wanted to ask before we really get into everything else, you pretty much did it in a sense, but how would you prescribe your approach? Like just what you do as an herbalist naturopath, what do you do in your current community? I understand like bridging that gap, but what do you do so that they know?
And are you speaking in terms of like activities or like a philosophy in terms of King's Cabinet? Philosophy?
Both. Like how do you, both.
I've been dealing with individuals in the community for a while now, for years, or any vendor spot, anything like that. So I've definitely been a part of that. But as far as a philosophy, I have three things I like to always speak to people of: elimination, nutrition, and prevention. And what I mean by that is, first off, we got to eliminate. We have so much fecal matter, so much things caught up in there due to overeating and other type of drugs and substances. So until you can begin to clean those things out, there's no need to try to throw in a whole lot of moringa or chia seeds or whatever these things that is the du jour medicine for today. You want to definitely clean yourself out. Then you want to practice nutrition. What are you putting back in as you're taking these things out? That's where you get into your vitamins, minerals, and the colors of food. I also always preach the rainbow. When you eat, you want to have as many colors as possible, because this is the earth providing you each and every particular rudiment. The rainbow is most beautiful when it's all together, but bits and pieces of our particular life makes it difficult to see our overall existence and how that thing benefits. Thirdly is prevention. I mean, of course, you got to begin to not do the same things that you had going on. So you want to definitely watch this area around you, not put yourself in situations where you're not being clean or mindful that the next person's energy, the next person's sickness, the next person's whatever could affect your particular body and being. So you want to practice those three things: detoxification, nutrition, what you put back in, and prevention. You know, and that's a day-to-day cleaning, it's maintenance of your body, whether it's a liver cleanse or anything like that. So those are the things I try to practice as principles in order to get people to stay on a healthy track in terms of overall healthy lifestyle. Because I like to say that the healthy self knows how to heal thyself. And I think that's key to anyone's health and definitely for us as a whole.
Ashe. That is something that, especially the elimination factor, that is necessary.
Very, very.
I hear a lot of people, where they go and do like these quick fix, constantly doing flushes, constantly doing whatever I've seen now online, this Himalayan salt, which it could work, but think about the other ramifications of that, of adding all that salt in your diet, but nobody's thinking about that. They just want to have a quick fix for everything. So, I think that's very, very important. Sister Crystal, did you want to add anything before I continue?
I would just want to remind Brother Todd, Brother Marco, it was some time ago when I heard you say, and I share with Mila as well, that I heard you say, you shouldn't start your day with food until you eliminate. You should have a movement and then eat. Don't eat before you have that food.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that, and I try to live by that. So that would ensure that I get enough of what I need so that I would be able to do that. If you could expound on that a little bit.
Right. The philosophy behind that is that it takes roughly 8 to 10 hours to digest one meal. So in a given day, we're talking breakfast, lunch, dinner. That's 3 meals. So if you use the law of average, if you use the simple multiplication, 3 times 8 or 9, that's 27, right? Let's say 3 times 9 is 27. That's 27 hours. That means you are eating more than you can even digest in a day. And then you get up in the morning after you sleep on that and do it all again. So what are we really doing to ourselves if we're not eliminating in between so many meals being packed upon by this sad, aka standard American diet that has loaded us with so many different things that keeps us out of our health out of whack. So that's kind of what's the philosophy behind it, because I mean, even though you eat and you can defecate afterwards, but it's best to go ahead and get that body a little amount of rest after you move that meal out before you start slamming food right back down your throat in this 8-hour cycle that we do each and every day.
Makes perfect sense. Absolutely.
Right.
And that's what people get with that impacted colon issue. So a brother just posted, he said, elimination is big for men. What do you suggest, brother? As a man, I know I need to do better.
I mean, first and foremost, you know what I mean? As far as a supplement or something to aid to speed up your elimination, you definitely want to do psyllium husk or Sagara cascara. Those things help. The psyllium husk is fiber. Metamucil is the pharmaceutical way in which they try to capitalize off of it. But you go to your local health food store and get psyllium husk. And what it is, it blows. It kind of uses water soluble and blows up. And as it moves through your large and small intestine, it pushes all those foods out. And sometimes, man, you just gotta take a good dump. Once you take a good dump, I'm not saying slam another meal. You got to rest. You know what I mean? You got to rest. Just because you use the bathroom, it doesn't mean you eat another meal. Because actually, you can tell a lot about a person's health by, should I say, the nature of their feces. You know, is it coming out easy? Are you grunting? All these things are indicative of the food you eat and how your body is processing them. Mm-hmm. So definitely, psyllium husk is the beginning to move the food. Now, Sagara cascara is the second one that speaks of highly by Dr. Sebi. What it does is it stimulates the small intestine to push out the mucus in the villi, to push out and force it to purge that particular small intestine, and helps it to get those bacteria that your body doesn't try to uptake from your intestinal wall to your bloodstream. It helps to secrete those things so you can get that fecal matter off of your digestive tract and begin to push those down along with the psyllium husks. So once again, psyllium husks, aka Metamucil, and Sagara cascara It's also, you can probably find your local health food store, or I guess you can go on the worldwide web and find it on Amazon, the worldwide Walmart, who has everything. But those are two things that can begin an elimination. And afterwards, I would strongly suggest, don't go pound another meal. If you're hungry, drink water. Allow your body time to rest, because sometimes as we eat, it becomes a habit.
Absolutely.
We eat. And that's a big problem that deals with the metaphysical aspects of who we are, the habitual eating, and what this eating sweets and salt and what these things do to our mentality, our consciousness, and our attitude. And that's a little bit further down the road, but they all are linked to who we are. So elimination, and get that intestines to secrete, and then ultimately relaxing, and then putting in the good things and continuing to have a consistent bowel movement is very more important.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. Definitely, you need to move it before you continue to impact yourself. And that is like the biggest problem. That's all I hear so much. And people think that, a lot of women think wearing the waist trainers, that's supposed to help with that. And it's not. You're really damaging your organs and weakening your core over time doing that. So yeah, we appreciate it. Okay, let's keep going. You ready? I know you're ready. All right. So my next question was basically, I know you pretty much shared what led you on your path, but what would you say are the advantages of an herbal or naturopathic program as opposed to traditional medicine, and how does it actually work?
In one word, side effects. When you take Western medicine, it tells you, okay, we're going to heal this, but you have nausea, upset stomach, diarrhea, this, that. Like, after you get through taking it, what is you really helping with? The side effects is what's more dangerous with the Western medicine, because it's all synthetic chemicals of the natural components. See, they're very smart with what they do. They take the science of the actual plants and herbs, and their chemistry creates a synthetic version of the same thing and serves it to you because they can patent it. But when you do herbologists, it's of earth, so it's naturally synergistic with you. And we have thousands of years of history. It's documented, whether it's Ayurveda, whether it's traditional Chinese medicine, or whether it's African or even Native American, that has served us so well. And let's be honest, Western medicine is what, 50 years old, 60 years old?
True.
You know what I mean? Like, the advent of penicillin was, I guess, in the early 1940s, if I'm not mistaken. So if one thing, I would say side effects. You're trying to heal one thing, but since it's so synthetic, your body does not understand it when it breaks down the DNA. So now you have these free radicals floating around, and this thing actually disturbs other aspects of your body. Yeah. And this accumulation of these side effects, or the accumulation of these byproducts or metabolites could find itself in other areas of your body that are weak, whether it's your pancreas and diabetes, or whether it's your liver and hepatitis, or whether it's your prostate with prostatitis. Any of these areas that are weak due to your lifestyle and diet change will be exacerbated when you take these Western medicines. In reference to the actual herbs that are well respected and documented as helping these same things, is from the earth. You are the earth. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It's more synergistic, no side effects, because your body understands the DNA of these chemicals. So when it metabolizes and breaks them down, it's an easier uptake without the side effects.
Absolutely. Period. That is it. That is the one phrase, side effects, family. And also the risks. You take more risks when you participate in this traditional Western medicine, as opposed to getting back to your roots, getting back to a better understanding. Yeah.
And not to mean to cut you off, but I'm trying to hammer this home with people. Like, we have to stop using our stomachs as a medicine cabinet. Our stomach does not need to digest every single thing in a pill. This convenience of Western medicine is what the problem is. We want convenient food, want to go to the grocery store. We don't want to cook. We want to go to the restaurants and want to slam pills behind it. But you're doing your stomach a disservice. So one thing that I do with my protocols also, I do a lot of transdermal. I do a lot of liquid, and I do a lot of sublingual. Hold up on the tongue, which is a major vein, instantly in the bloodstream. Absolutely. Drinking, which your body is 70+% water. So now it's easier to, once it hits the kidneys, it's easier in the bloodstream. In deference to going through your stomach, the acid, you have to break it down, then it goes to your bloodstream, and then not to mention the side effects of destroying your gut flora, which is the key or the beginning of your downward spiral into bad health, destroying the gut flora from the actual side effects.
A word.
I don't want to take any more medication.
Yeah,
I don't take any, but
likewise.
that's even more of an incentive not to.
You make our stomachs a medicine cabinet. We chemical labs based off our stomachs. So that's the big problem with us.
I think that's one of the most profound takeaways for me already. Stop using our stomachs as a medicine cabinet.
Yes.
That is real. That is so real. And if we think about, like Sister Crystal, you and I, we talked about like just watching like our parents and grandparents, get of age and take all this medication, have poor diets, continue with those poor diets, and have that type of poverty mindset, because health is a state. Poor health is a state of poverty. They have that poverty mindset. Well, you're gonna die from something. Yeah, but you don't have to die from that. Like, you don't have to keep passing that down, which leads me into thank you so much. Which leads me into my next question. And I guess for some people, they may say it's common sense. Well, they may say that in words, but the actions don't show it. What do we need to do as parents to help break the cycle of our children thinking, yeah, well, everything can be cured by somebody in a white coat, right? As opposed to getting back to the natural ways of healing and curing ourselves, and truly curing ourselves, because medicine, we know it just masks symptoms, right? But the cure is in the food. So what are some suggestions that you would give to parents, fathers, mothers, either one, to help their children to have a better take on that, handle on it earlier in life?
Let me take this in different stages. Of course, early on in those developmental years, 0 to 9, it's easy because they eat what you eat. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of people try to use it's in my genes, it's genetic. No, it's habitual. Dr. Layla Africa talked about that a whole lot. You're eating the same diet, so your genetic structure that your parents give you will be activated by the food that they give you to eat. So if your parents is diabetic, and they give you that chromosome with that particular protein that can be triggered, guess what? We give you a high sugar, a high flour diet. It's going to activate that DNA in your chromosome that they gave you. So in those early years, if a parent takes the correct diet, and who leads the purse? Who leads the house? If you eat healthy and do those things greatly for your household, it's a habit already, right? So if you do it early, you won't have to worry about the second stage, which is puberty and teenagers, where they want the hot. They eat based on their friends, the hot Takis.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The sodas, those type of things. That's more cultural aspect where it's hard to really break them from that there, because they begin to have their own personality now. They're not as easily led as you were between those earlier years. And so now you have to kind of fight with them because they don't really want to eat that. I don't want to eat no fruits and vegetables. You just showed me that when I was 0 to 9.
Exactly.
And hamburgers. I want pizza and hamburgers now.
Exactly.
So that's going to be more of a struggle as you get into puberty in those teenage years. And ultimately, when they're adults, I mean, it's hard. They have to kind of defend for themselves. But the key is, as parents, setting the stage as early as possible, maintaining it so we can establish a habit. I was effective to doing that with my sister or my niece. We just beginning to have proper habits, because children are imitators first. They don't know how to get in the world unless they see how their parents do, or those older people who are operating in this world that they live in. They mimic those things. You see what I mean? If they're mimicking those things, are you giving them proper habits to mimic? It's going to become habitual as they get older, and they won't go away from that. So in different stages of life, you need different types of understanding, but the parent is in charge. It's not really what you should do, but do what you're supposed to do as parents for your child.
Brother Todd, you're correct, because I remember when I was making my transition and I just had my youngest daughter at home, and she was probably maybe 12, 13. And one thing I did, and what I tell some parents, because believe it or not, there are some parents who reach out to me and tell me that their children want to be better. They want to be vegetarian, and they don't know how to make that adjustment for their child. So I did was I took Kara to the grocery store with me, and I let her choose a new vegetable every week that we would try. And I would let her help me in the kitchen. And so a couple years ago, she was telling me, she was like, "Mama, my friends don't even know how to eat." She said, "We are too young to be constipated and have all these health issues. And it's because they don't drink enough water and they don't know how to eat." And so, just like you said, we have to be the example to our children. And if they show an interest, like my classmate's granddaughter, she wanted to become vegetarian, and her daughter made a post, her mother, and I sent her a cookbook. I was like, "But what's your address?" Because I was like encouraging her, because she was the one came in my inbox. She's like, "My daughter wants to be vegetarian. I don't know where to start." And so, sometimes the children help the parents too, because they know something. They know
Oh
they
yeah.
had that in them, that knows that this is not right. I shouldn't be eating all this meat. And so I just encourage the parents that have these children that don't want to eat meat, because I saw somebody say, "My son don't want to eat meat," and she was panicking. I'm like, don't know, don't, you don't have to force. He knows what he's doing. And
Yeah.
so just being an example and being supportive of our children, and being encouraging, and letting them come in the kitchen and help create those dishes with us is also a way to get them.
I agree. I agree completely.
Fully agree. Absolutely. Same thing here, sis. Same, exactly the same.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So just continuing on. Beyond your studies, was there any point in your life, maybe being around family, observing, health and wellness of those around you, what made you decide to pursue this avenue of wellness as opposed to maybe traditional medicine or, something else? What was the catalyst for your journey?
The thing that really kind of hooked me was my memories of my ancestors. And I mean immediate, my grandparents, being a kind of a slick Mississippi boy to a degree, staying with my parents in those older days, they had farms. So when they ate this pig or these chickens and pigs actually ate the corn, the beans, and from the slop bucket in the same farm area.
Right.
So our parents lived longer strictly. I think that's one of the things, strictly because of that. They wasn't getting no meat from Kansas shipped to your local grocery store. They knew the pig, they knew the hog sitting right there. He ate from the butter bean patch, ate the stuff that we had left over. So there was a synergy right there with the ecosystem, that the food was there. So as I was growing, I remember those times. I remember eating it. I remember as a boy putting that slop bucket together and feeding it to the hogs. So the hog and the chickens were actually eating the same food from the ecosystem.
Yeah.
It wasn't coming from another country or another area.
That's
right.
That's right.
That was it kind of sparked me a little bit, like it's in me. And it's in a lot of us who have Southern roots or has this Generation X that we represent, who have a small portion of those ancestors, those immediate ancestors of our grandparents, in difference to these younger kids. They have that. We have that genetic memory. We have those in us. And I think on some level, it's being activated through our children in conjunction with the information age now. Those two things are creating the system where Sister Crystal said the 12, 13, 14-year-olds are knowing about veganism, because that's the genetic code that we had being reproduced through them, because we're reawakening it now. So I think that's a nice metaphysical synergy between the generations that helped me recognize, like, you used to this. You should know this. So our parents, they live longer, but guess what? Western medicine creeped in. That's why they started taking those pills as they got older, because I'm trying to collect information now of how our grandparents would pee on hot bricks and sit over top of them. You know what I mean?
Come on.
They moved around a lot more than we did.
Right.
Definitely.
And all that, yes.
I definitely encourage anyone who has an elder, maybe 70, 80 plus, ask them what they did before that. Take an oatmeal bath for measles. Take these things that they had that made them survive because they was doing it naturally.
That's right.
That was the thing that kind of sparked me, having that, I guess I'm gonna say genetic memory or early childhood at 0 to 9. Once again, that basic computer programming that every human being has. I was able to draw from that, and it just enriched me so much more and gave me much more enthusiasm to learn this and produce this particular type of, I guess, lifestyle purpose.
It's like Professor Small said, we got to remember what we already know.
Absolutely.
So remembering what we already know and put it into practice.
Yep.
Absolutely. Powerful. And I think that's major. And that's something that a lot of us avoid, because we want to assimilate. We want to fit in. We want to just make it look like, or not make it look like, but in actuality, just do what we see everybody else doing, because we don't want to be different, even though that difference could add 10, 20 years to your life, by again remembering what you already know, what your DNA knows. So powerful. I hope y'all are taking notes.
Yes.
I see quite a few people on, so I hope you're taking notes. Don't just be spying. Make sure you come on in, leave your comments. And like I said, a little later, after I bring up a few more topics, we're gonna open up the chat so that you all can come on. We'll put the StreamYard link up. I thought it was in there, but I don't see it. I don't know what I did, but I'll find it in a little bit, or Sister Crystal will bless us.
I'll put
that in there.
Come on, Ashe. Come on, Ashe.
You know, I thought I did it, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, come on, Ashe Academy. What?
Proud now.
Yes, and that's we're going to talk about Ashe Academy too, which we'll be doing Saturday school tomorrow. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely you need to be, and if you're not, you most likely will be by the end of this broadcast. So all right, let's keep going. And just peace to all the family checking in. Peace, Brother Amun. Peace, Sis Antoinette, Sis Rose, Brother Llewell. Who else? Brother Just Being Honest. Sister Tiana, Sister Naki. So just peace to you all for coming on now to see this live broadcast. We do appreciate it. And again, hope that you are getting the information that you need. All right, Brother Todd.
Yes.
Brother Todd. Okay. So again, this is Men's Health and Wellness. And I had a couple of brothers to reach out to me through private DMs. They may be watching and just might not want to talk, and I understand that. But you know, sometimes, and I'm definitely not as much of a wealth of knowledge as you are. So that's why I asked you to come on, because I think brothers again need to hear this information from Black men. I asked you and the brothers from the preceding week. But when it comes to a low libido in men, erectile dysfunction, things like that, what are some? I know we talked about what you said: elimination, prevention, and nutrition. And I'm sure those things will definitely aid in that process as well. What additional things would you recommend for a man? Let's say for a man who's fairly healthy and just having low energy, low drive, as opposed to a man who is probably maybe healthy, but there may be something else going on. What suggestions would you offer those brothers?
Okay, so when we speak about libido, okay, we're speaking about a few things: blood flow and hormones, right? The problem with most men, let's be honest, drugs and alcohol. Let's call it what it is. We're doing a lot of alcohol on a consistent basis, along with bad eating. So when you do those things and your body digests it or tries to process the drugs, aka get you high, the metabolites are there. The thing, it circulates to your bloodstream, back and forth. So when you add the bad diet that's processed foods and high cholesterol, you're mucking up the blood. And one thing that in my particular practice that I'm building upon is live blood analysis. Where we take a specimen, we look at the blood, we read the blood in real time, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the plasma, the things floating around. And the science is able to indicate what each one of these things are within an individual's bloodstream. Instead of you sending your blood test off to some person, they give you a set of numbers. No, we're looking at it in real time. So definitely we're speaking of hormones and blood flow and how those things affected: drugs, alcohol, stress, not exercising. But then again, let's be honest, the Black man is under a large amount of stress. Let's call it what it is. Been there for a long time. And once again, that genetic memory plays its part in trying to be the man we know we are genetically or in terms of information, but not being that in real life and fighting for that place, fighting for the identity or that particular place within ourselves in the world. And that causes a lot of psychological stress. Those stress affects hormones, and those hormones affect those chemical messengers affect every aspect of the body, especially libido, especially that reproductive factor, or especially that testosterone building actual factor. And rest. We don't get rest. We up all night. We're stimulated by video games. We watching YouTube, we watching all these things. And that particular stimulation leads us not to rest well, because of the energy, the rays and the waves of those particular, always in front of the screen, throws us off. Those are alphas and beta and theta waves off. So we don't sleep properly. And not properly sleeping and resting affects every biochemistry and physiology aspect of our body. Rest is very, very important. right next to exercise, because it helps you to eliminate and it helps you to regulate. So those things are very important in terms of low libido. Rest, and for those who drinking and drugging, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not immune. I offer full accountability. I was in the streets a little bit, but at the same time, I'm also much more aware, much more in control of my habits, in control of these things, because I know the effects that they have on them. So if you find yourself habitually addicted, you know what I mean, to weed smoke or alcohol, of course, whether it's casual, whether it's addictive, you got to kind of back up off of it, because you're overloading your liver, you're overloading your lungs, you're overloading your bloodstream with these toxins, and then you're not properly eliminating. So what is it doing? Recirculating through your blood, and it's going to affect your hormones, and your prostate becomes inflamed because you're not properly eliminating. So once again, stop the bad habits, which is detoxification or prevention. Rest and exercise, which helps to move these things that's flowing through our bloodstream. Move it. Rest is part of the rejuvenation process. Get you some sleep. I know we working hard. We provide for our family. We're protecting our egos. We're protecting our loved ones. You know, these things are part of our structure as men. And you definitely have to begin to practice a good live it, not diet. We ain't eating to die. We're eating to live. So we're practicing a live it out here now. So changing those particular mind states and habits are all things that help you benefit, I guess, your libido, which lies into, you know, your manhood for sure. So while you being a man trying to do all these things, you're neglecting the one thing internally that makes you a man.
Absolutely. Ashe. And like he said, brothers, get that blood work done too. See where you are, you know. And then after you get all that done, then you get on your squats, because that's something I had recommended to him a while ago. I was like, hey, do some squats. I know if you work in the lower body, that helps. But you had shared with me, another brother had shared, hey, it's got to come from, you know, inside first. You can do all that all day and have all the special smoothies in the world. But, you know, if you're not taking care of those basic things, then it's of no use in the long run.
To speak about them squats, man, I would say squats are very important, because for men who do squats, when you do those squats and you stretch that leg, that area right between that scrotum, let's be adults, it's energizing. I'm gonna be honest. I feel good in that same area with a certain number of squats, and you'll recognize how that blood flow when you get a good level balance of squats. Not faking it, but getting down in there the way you're stretching the groin area and letting that blood flow get in there. You feel it. I mean, women could probably attribute to that too. You know, when you get in there, it does a little something tingle down there when you exercise properly, because that blood is flowing. So if you have that clean, good blood flow, it's gonna add nutrients. It's gonna stop that inflammation. It's gonna add to that libido being strong. So I definitely suggest, if you're gonna do exercises, definitely squats, weighted squats, at home squats, but get in there to where you kind of feel that tension right there in that scrotum area, in between that scrotum. I promise you, it's gonna take you a long way.
That's an excellent breakdown. Yeah, I mean, we definitely feel it too, but you want to think about how it affects men. But I guess basic biology. Go ahead,
right. The difference between men and female is hormonal.
It's a lot of good information.
A lot of good information. Yes.
Yeah, the difference between male and female is strictly hormonal. Breasts, arms, it's just your hormones represent, female hormones express slightly differently than males, but the biology and the chemistry, it's about 85% the same.
Come on now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
I do have a question. So
go ahead.
I was talking to my oldest daughter, and we were talking about some issues, and I was telling her about some different herbal remedies that she should try. And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, what? She's like, you just get mad when I tell you that they don't work. And I'm like, but you haven't even tried it.
Right.
So how do we get that stigmatism out of our people's head that these things don't work?
If there was a one-stop shop, I think we'd be a whole lot further as a nation, right? How do we change these habitual tendencies that we have? How do we get that? I'm going to say it, that Western mind state up out of us to even embrace the natural self, it's a process, Sister Crystal. And like I said, you have to keep on churning and being a person. And right now we're in the information age, so you have to do your research. You have to figure out what works for each individual, and you have to experiment. You know, they say it doesn't work. Well, have you tried it? Right. What makes you say it doesn't work? Look it up, and you come back and tell me why it wouldn't work. You're going to tell me that your 15 to 25-year-old knowledge is stronger than 3,000 years of culture and ancient records of these things working?
Well, one thing is that she's in the medical profession.
Oh, and she's so,
yeah. she's a paramedic. So yeah, I know. So she doesn't take any medication herself, you know, but when I tell her that she should try some herbal teas and some different things of that nature, some what we take for colds, elderberry. She was like, nope.
So if she's in the medical field, one thing I always do when I find information synergy, I go to National Board of Health. There's plenty of studies out there. We're in the information age, so you can't say that you can't get access to it. And guess what? The Western science has done the science too, and they put it out. So you can learn that black seed oil and manuka honey will take away COVID in 7 days. You see, because black seed oil is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, all these things. And you put that manuka honey, which is antibacterial, that's a synergy. 7 days, I've done it before, gone. And there's documentation of it. You see, there's documentation of elderberry or Nigeria sambucas being effective. So you can't take what's given you. It's interesting how they tell you what don't work, but then they got it how it do work, but tell you what they do work without. It's a weird
until they realize until they realize people are buying it, and then they start trying to produce it so they can get that money too.
Exactly, or they outlaw it to throw people off, and the programming kicks right back in.
Right.
Oh, the American Medical Association, which is part of the pharmaceutical conglomerate, is pushing this in deference to this and keeping this information back, which is a tried and true particular modus operandi of Western civilization. Keep this back, take this works, and then while they're studying this back here. You know what I mean? So I suggested the sister who knows these things to do her research. You're in the medical field, do your research. You're there. Right. So it's easy for her.
Right here at your fingertips, you're on the phone for everything else.
Yeah, definitely that. And you're in the industry at this point.
Right. And yeah. Exactly. Maybe if you tell her the next time we see you.
Hopefully she's watching this and then she knows.
I know. I definitely shared it.
It'll spark her, maybe. Hopefully it'll spark her. That's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to spark something. I can't expect you to change overnight or change today, but spark something like, the light bulb go off, and it goes off. That means cuts on, and then you try to screw it in a little tighter and make sure it stays on. Then you go get you a halogen bulb, and you go stronger light and solar power, and then next thing you know, you powered by the sun, and you don't even need the grid no more.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. Wow. This is a lot of information. I'm just digesting it all. I'm taking my notes here so I can go back and share. I'm gonna share the video with them, but with my friends, but definitely taking some good notes here. So I wanted to get into, I know as you said in the beginning, you've done some travel in and out of the country. I guess we all have on the panel, we've kind of seen that experience firsthand as far as how other Africans live across the diaspora. What would you say is the biggest takeaway that you've gotten from the way that healthcare, or won't say medicine, but the way that healing rituals are used and appreciated or respected as opposed to over here in the States?
I mean, they're not as infected. It's kind of a double-edged sword, seeing that they're not hypothetically as sophisticated in terms of buildings and Wi-Fi and stuff over there. It leads them back to their more ancient understanding. So when I was over there, there's a certain distaste for Western medicine over there. It's there due to the fact that the Western psychology and culture is there, but most of the people still lean to their herbologists, still lean to quote unquote their witch doctors or their shamans who understand the metaphysical part of your being, who look in your eyes and look on your tongue and do certain things to decipher who you are or what your health issues are, which is way more in line with who we are as beings, as a metaphysical being, not just a physical and mental, but a metaphysical being. And they don't do that here. It's more like an input and output in the West. You have these symptoms, so you have this disease. But over there, it's more of a holistic healing sincerely. You got this in you. When you take too much sugar, what are you searching for? Love? Where you lack love? Too much salt? Where is this anger coming from? Too much sour foods? You like a lot of sour foods or lemon or bitter? What makes you bitter in life? So it's a lot of psychology goes along with their healing. And it's a lot of physical all in one, which is totally against what they do in the West. You go in the West, they ask you what's wrong with you, and they give you an input and output. You know what I mean? It's not a holistic thing. And that's the difference mainly between the West and Africa. And with that, like I said, they lean more to their African roots because the Western trying to keep them down by not having it, but they're actually having to maintain a certain amount of their ancient ancestry history, which is kind of what I realized better, because in actuality, COVID wasn't that bad over there. In actuality, they tell you about Ebola real bad, and it's bad when it catches you, but it's not as bad as you think, as they projected. Kind of like when we was little. We saw the babies with large stomachs and the flies riding around and donate to this because of African kids. Man, all hyperbole, all programming.
Yeah.
All programming. And that's kind of what the difference is. The not fully infected program, which allows them to have a little bit of their natural, ancient understanding and that plethora of knowledge they're able to tap into it for the overall holistic healing.
Ashe.
Which the West does not have, obviously.
At all.
Yeah.
Because it's all about it with capitalism. It's all about the dollar here. That's it. We're going to keep you sick because that's what pays, you being sick. So your unwellness.
Input, output. It's input, output. You know what I mean? This is what your symptoms you have. This is what you got. Plain and simple. We're going to treat this symptom, but we're not going to treat what caused the symptom.
Absolutely.
It's not, so you're not in homeostasis. And that's the big difference. They're treating the symptoms. If you're sick, the main two things they give you, antibiotics and steroids. If you have a lung issue, they're giving you steroids. What they're doing is they're pumping up the muscle to fight the disease, but they're not taking away the things that have caused the inflammation. They're giving you antibiotics to fight the foreign germ, but the antibiotics is anti all bodies, probiotics, prebiotics. Cell bodies is anti all bodies. So when it gets in there, it kills all bodies, and it allows that candida and that fungus to grow, and that's how your inflammation comes through your system.
Killing us. Well, killing them.
Right. Making that stomach a medicine cabinet instead of finding alternative ways to put ourselves in that homeostasis.
Absolutely. Let's repeat that one more time. Family, stop making your stomach a medicine cabinet, please. Elimination, prevention, nutrition, please. Please.
If you have sinus, don't use a neti pot. Don't use Zyrtec, use a neti pot. Use that saline to wash that nasal cavity out of that inflammation. Once you wash those pollen and allergens out, 2 or 3 days, you breathing like you can smell everything.
Absolutely. You told me that about a year ago, and I swear by it.
Yes. You want to pop a Zyrtec and it clogs you, it dries you all the way up.
Exactly.
You keep me down. You know what I mean? So you just gotta change just a little bit.
Just a little. Don't take it much.
Yeah, that's the major thing. Just being receptive to what we know is real, what's going to really help us in the long run, and not continue to hurt us and keep us in this perpetual cycle of unwellness. Like I was saying on the last show, you really are what you eat, and what you eat is what you create. If you're an unhealthy mother, you're creating an unhealthy child, period. If that father, the genetic code that he's passing along, if he's unhealthy, guess what? it's passing to that child. So we just got to get our stuff together first. And again, family, this is a men's wellness edition, but this information is good for everyone. It's good for everyone. But what I'm asking is some of the questions that a few brothers have sent to me. And this is one brother. He said that he's always trying to be in the gym and work out, but he doesn't want to keep taking like pre-workout, and he doesn't want to keep taking muscle recovery supplements. He said, could you recommend any natural supplements to use first for pre-workout to increase his energy naturally, and then anything that he could use other than eating bananas and pickles, which is what his mom told him, to help him recover after? Which is good. Bananas and pickles, good. It works for me. But anyway, go ahead, Brother Todd.
If I could do one thing, we're talking about amino acids. We're talking about the protein profile. We're talking about muscles. So when you talk about pre-workout, don't get addicted, but you want a stimulant. You want a caffeine. You want something that kind of gives you a good 30 to 45 minute boost when you're going in there. So even though we're saying good coffee, I don't want you to get that Folgers. I want you to get some good whole organic bean coffee, grind it, get you a warm water, and you begin to have that as a pre-workout. Of course, anything that's synthetic and stimulant rich is not good. There's something called L-citrulline, which is a natural amino acid. You can find it in watermelon skin. Men who understand what that is, they know that watermelon skin has a lot of aphrodisiac power.
Yeah.
And the constant flow of that, along with cayenne pepper or berberine, which is black pepper, these things help to stimulate the blood in the system, and then it also begins to help to get into those cells faster. Other things I would suggest is, once again, we're going to supplements. There's androgen receptors. There's things that you can build your androgens with. Let's say things like black maca and black ginger. Not the white, not the ginger over here, but look into black ginger. Look into Boutea superba. Now I'm on everything Western. I mean, on the motherland. We're looking at things like pine pollen, African pine bark. These things will help aid you through androgens. Androgens is the key term that helps to take your testosterone into muscles and to get those muscle cells to uptake those proteins much faster. So I wouldn't say pickles and I mean, which is cool, and I'm not knocking it because it's wisdom there. I don't know exactly what it is, but I bet it's some wisdom there. But we're also speaking in terms of like MPESU, MPESU. Look it up. Look up things like zinc, boron are actually cofactors that build your testosterone. You see what I mean? Also, Podogia agreteus. These are things that you, whoever put that down. Mushroom blend coffee is very good because mushrooms, as we know, is very good for the brain, for the synapses, for the neurons to keep on firing a strong possible way. So definitely to that person who put the mushroom coffee together combination is a very good combination to build on. I was reading about Ambrosia is a brand I've looked into. I think a brother puts that out there. I'm not giving no shout out. I just know he's doing pretty good. So you can find natural things to build that testosterone, and the key is the androgen receptors. Being able to keep those things from being clogged up with bad cholesterol and bad nutrients that the cells are looking for. Now you're flooding it with that Podogia. Now you're flooding it with that Tongarali. Now you're flooding it with those good things in your bloodstream, which is a part of nutritional quality. I guarantee you, once your body finds that homeostasis, you will be in a good space. Yeah. And one other thing I kind of want to push back on some men out there, we have a genetic code, gentlemen. Trying to be bigger than your genetics would necessarily put you on a kind of a bad track to try to overeat to keep this muscle mass. And you don't be as agile as you should. I think that men who recognize their blood type, recognize their body type, and begin to operate towards maximizing that is a little bit better than trying to be buff and big and strong like that, because we fail to realize that strength is okay, but muscle weighs more than fat. Muscle takes more energy than fat. You see, so we have to be kind of change some of our particular perspective as it relates to weightlifting, health, or things like that. I'm not saying don't lift heavy weights, but there are things that make you just as effective without trying to lift 300, 400, 500 pounds. That's cool, but can you use that particular muscle mass in an effective manner? Those are things that I would talk to individual men about in terms of what type of ideal are you bringing along with the actual muscle building that you're trying to do.
Yeah. Make sure that it works for them and whatever it is they're doing. Does it work? If it works for you, it works for you. But yeah, don't just try to do it for the look of it.
Right.
Not necessarily look, but a lot of people feel like the more bulky you are, the more stronger or better you are. But come up to a quick person who has some skill and some power and know how to use it. You got to fight on your hands. You got to fight on your hands. You think he's small, but he's good. It's just like taking a well-trained boxer that's not a heavyweight. Now, against a heavyweight boxer, he's dangerous. But against the average person, you in trouble. I don't care how big you are.
Yeah.
It's just that particular type of mentality is what I try to encourage our warriors to be out there. Being big and bulky is okay, but are you agile? Can you use your muscle? Can you throw it around? Because as you get bigger with more muscle, it takes more energy. You get tired faster because you have to pump more blood to keep those muscles strong enough to push that 300, 400, 500 pounds that you think you can do all the time. Don't really, it's not as effective as you think.
Some serious when they do have all the muscles and they can still do all that. Watch out.
Yeah,
Watch out.
Yeah, you know, if you have it in synergy, by all means, it's good. But body type and endomorph, ectomorph, and things, mesomorph, things like that is real. It's part of your genetic code again. If your father wasn't 6 feet 300 pounds or 250 or whatever, muscle and buck, you might not be there.
Right.
So in doing
you're giving
that,
some good information.
Yeah, you see, so in doing that, you kind of do yourself a disservice in the long run because you're forcing your genetic code to handle things that it's not naturally doing, not naturally in tune to do. Just a little caveat. I'm not saying don't lift weights.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't lift heavy weights.
Know yourself.
Yeah, know yourself. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good 170, 175 agile. I do martial arts and weight, and I'm able to do that, and I keep my cardio. And I'm not gonna let no big 300, 400 pound dude grab me. I'll be a fool to do that. If I get around him, he in trouble. If I can move, he got me cornered. But ultimately, if you let me dance on you and get some secret spots, you got fight in your hands. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. You know yourself. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. I fully agree. All right. That was really the main questions, the two questions that I got from brothers just, behind the scenes asking. And the last one that I wanted to talk about, we may get into a little bit more, but the last thing for me was food and how it affects your mood. Is it just food, or is it the herbs as well? Or if you're a man and you're at a state where you're feeling, and we're not medical doctors or whatever, not trying to diagnose somebody with depression, but if you're feeling depressed, are there any type of foods or herbs that could help a man to feel better? And one brother also asked about, because I was telling him he's eating too late. I was telling him part of the reason why he's having heartburn, he's not sleeping well, and this and that, and just not having a good time. And this brother is in his 20s. He's in his 20s, but he was like, I'm not sleeping well, so and so. And I was like, well, either come on to the show or, email to me. I asked Brother Todd about it, but he was like, well, what can I eat if I got to eat late? Because sometimes I'm just hungry. I'm like, if you're hungry, drink water first, because sometimes you're just thirsty. Thirst mimics hunger. Sometimes try water. He's like, well, that don't work. I need to eat because I'm trying to work out and stuff, so I got to eat. But again, he's 20 and he says he feels depressed a lot of the times because he's always hungry. So he's wondering if he's missing something.
First off, he has a hormone imbalance. He's probably eating too much. And as far as the not sleeping, we have to understand that we should be more in tune with the earth, with the world. I mean, with the earth as it is composed. So eating at night in general is not good, because night is our time to as a circadian rhythm to actually rejuvenate.
I agree.
You see, so it may seem funny, but you should stop eating during the winter earlier. You see, if it's dark at 5 o'clock, it may seem weird, but stop eating.
Stop eating.
If you get hungry, what I suggest, do you know how much an apple and a banana fill you up?
Big time.
Yeah.
Eat an apple, eat a banana, eat a small fruit salad. It gives your body the ability to get good nutrients, good fiber, right? And it's easier on the stomach to digest. When you're eating these highly processed foods and your metabolism begin to work, it has to break down all these enriched white flour, maltodextrin, all these crazy phytochemicals in your body. It doesn't understand what to do. So this thing is in your bloodstream, and what's in your bloodstream also flows through your brain. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? The brain eats off the same food things in the bloodstream as the heart, as the lungs, as the stomach. So if you're eating bad things and you got heartburn, you might have some little brain effect too. Mm-hmm. So sleeping, so going to bed on a full stomach, now your body is trying to metabolize and get into homeostasis to get to its next day. What does it got to do? You got to break this dead gum big meal you just put in there, a combo with extra fries. You know, trying to break that down and sleep and rejuvenate at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's not going to work.
Let me ask you this, since you said that, because I know a lot of times we'll eat and we say they've got the itis. Are you supposed to be sleepy after you eat, or are you supposed to be energetic?
If you overeat, think about it. The stomach is only the size of a grapefruit. You know what I mean? It's not big. So when you overeat, you're stretching it out.
Yeah.
So your body must put more blood into action to help the stomach pump and break these food down. So it takes some blood from your brain, from your heart. So that itis is actually lethargy, because your body has to shoot more blood in the stomach, because you don't expanded the stomach so much and you full. You can't move. So your body's like, okay, now we got to work with this crazy meal at night. So let me show you what it is. Go on, lay down, because you can't fight me. Go on, lay down, and let me get this big old meal out the way, because I have to use so much blood to digest all this food in your small stomach that you blew up with this meal at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Yep. Of course you're gonna fall asleep. If you overeat, you're gonna be lethargic. It's gonna be a certain amount of lethargy anyway. The only difference in the daytime is that you have that energy from the sun. Yeah. At night you don't have that, because it's time for rejuvenation due to your circadian rhythm. And if your body is not calmed down with the food in that time as well respected between 2:30, 3:30 at night, and you're not there, your dreams are going to be thrown off. Depression is also almost a byproduct of your body not being able to rest well. Mm-hmm. So now as you're sleeping and you're in your subconscious mind, it's still having to deal with the conscious body. It's not able to process these memories, these dreams, these traumas that it's supposed to do during our sleep, because it's too busy trying to digest food. So you're going to have that depression due to that. Because the blood circulating has to go to the brain too. The blood-brain barrier is still there, just as well as anything else. So if you're not mindful of that when you're eating this meal late at night, you should expect depression. It ain't depression like you don't know what's going on, or you can't solve a problem. It's depression because biochemically in your brain, you're off. So problems is any bigger than anyone else. It's how your brain is processing and deal with these problems. It's limited because your synapses and your neurons are clogged up, because it's not getting the nutrients to fire off properly and give you clarity of thought.
Makes perfect sense.
Perfect.
Makes perfect sense.
You shouldn't eat late at night. Your body's trying to rejuvenate. And we're eating, once again, as I was saying earlier, 3 times a day plus a snack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I said, do the simple math. If it takes 8 to 10 hours, we know this, and you slamming a meal, and as soon as it gets in starts to be digested to your small intestine, you don't slam another meal on top of it.
Another one.
And then you go through that, you slam another on top, and then you go to sleep. And you do this day after day after day. So at night, brother, try fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Do a steamed vegetable. Do a little vegetable bowl. Not too late. But your body will understand the DNA. That fiber that you take will make it easier to push that meal out. Get up in the morning, drink that water. Maybe do you some sodium bicarbonate, alkalized water. Drink it in the morning and wait for that good. It's smooth sailing then. You know what I mean? It's smooth sailing then.
Facts.
Yeah,
facts. I mean, absolutely. I think that's just, I talked about that a couple of times, resetting that circadian rhythm, and a lot of us don't know what that is and don't really understand it. So
Yeah.
You know, if you got Brother Todd here right now, but as I tell you, you got to learn how to Google. Got to learn how to Google, and sometimes YouTube is a little university in itself. But if you want it from the source is here. So with that being said, I have the link is in the comment section. So if anybody wants to come on and ask any questions, now is the time to do that. Don't be shy. We won't bite. He won't bite you. And like I said, I know sometimes people they don't like to say it because, you know, when it comes to health, you know, people have all these superstitions that we need to get past. If I put it out there, somebody's going to wish something bad on me. If I say I need this, they're going to talk about me. But that's not what we're here for. We're really here, like Brother Todd said, to be a catalyst for you to think, for you to just think about those things that you need to do to make those positive changes with regard to your health. Because I'm telling you, this medicine is not curing us. It's not.
Well, you know, as a small thing just came to me, you know, they have to tell you that they are practicing medicine by law.
Right.
They are practicing medicine.
Literally.
You see that caveat. By FDA standards, I cannot diagnose, treat, or, you know, so they already got the system wrapped around and entangled already. They tell you that they're practicing medicine, which on the contrary is actually in some cases a form of, I'm gonna use this taboo word, witchcraft, because you're actually affecting the spirit by the diet. So when you're practicing medicine, you're actually affecting the spirit. And I'm gonna go too far into how it affects the metaphysical sense, whether it's depression or anything else, or how you feel about your aura around you. All these things are tied up. So if you're mindful, and once you have a clarity of thought, these type of intuition and epiphany and that genetic code will wake yourself up to be like, they practice it.
Yeah.
You know, never go to a doctor that's in bad health.
Right.
Why don't you go to a doctor as soon as on the break, he got the cigarette like this?
Right. Man, what?
He ain't practicing what he preach. Why would you go to a doctor that's overweight?
Obese. Mm-hmm.
What sense does that make logically? So we can just look at the world from a conscious standpoint and be like, this ain't making no sense, doc. You know,
that is the whole truth. Wow.
Yeah. So I just you know, feel like we got to build better. And as it comes to circadian rhythm, we are a part of it. You know, the heartbeat is time, the respiration is time. You know, the metaphysician knows that real time is in the heart, not on the watch.
Absolutely.
The respirations is seconds. I mean, the heartbeats are seconds. The respirations are minutes. See what I mean? If we start to pay attention to and get ourselves in tune with the creation that we are a part of, then it's intuition, it's genetic code that we woke up inside of us. So a lot of things have to be reassessed as we separate or look at this world that we're living in and wonder why we're depressed or wonder we have these things going. What are you putting in your temple? Is this not the temple?
Right.
And if this temple is not well, how do you expect the spirit to fare? How do you expect the mind and conscience to fare if you're not putting the things in? It's not what comes out that defiles, it's what goes in.
Absolutely.
It defiles the body and affects the spirit. We have to get with it nowadays, people. You know, it's time that we're 2023. We have to be, I mean, and we can tell that the energy is there. The information age has made people more aware or conscious. So yeah, you have more children talking about vegan, more things are there, but we're doing it still connected to this matrix, unfortunately. And as soon as you separate, you'll start to see how you're more in harmony with the existential reality. What's real? You know, you need that plant. You need that tree to give you oxygen because you're giving it carbon dioxide. You know, life produces life. We have to eat as fresh, as close as possible to get the most accurate amount of nutrients. When you eat those foods that are sitting up for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, it's some certain amount of decomposition going on. So I'm glad that we're starting to do more organic. I'm glad we're starting to have more of our own gardens because that's the best way to eat. It's right there as soon as possible, as fresh as possible. So when the body breaks it down, it allows that DNA of the food to be quickly reconfigured through metabolism into that vitamin A, vitamin C, and those things that the body needs. Anything past that, it's more difficult to digest those GMO foods, those decomposed foods. So it's a lot of things that goes along with our health. As we get better at it, you can start to be more sophisticated in your approach, and it will help your overall being.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even at base, I mean, I know that most of you notice when you eat vegetables and fruits, your elimination process is quicker. You eat meats, you're miserable for days, for
Yeah.
days. I had a friend I'll try to be as clean as I can with this, but a friend to share with me that she did a colonic experience and she knew she hadn't eaten meat for like weeks. And she said that they got on this thing, it's called the Jimmy John, well, I've had, but anyway, got on this thing. And so they had a mirror, a reflection above showing what was coming out of her system because, I guess some people were like, well, it's fake, it's not real. She said that as she was laying there, she literally, like I said, she hadn't had red meat, she said, for weeks. She saw the meat, the meat was still undigested coming out of her colon, going across this thing. She's like, and all that was sitting in me. She said, literally, when she finished, they told her, you can't have this, just water. After a while, you can have a smoothie, but nothing solid. She was like, sis, that was it. I never ate red meat again. That stuff was just literally sitting in my gut, rotting. And I'm wondering why my skin is feeling like this, why I'm having these. She said, once I got that out and I went vegan after that, because I just couldn't believe it was literally in my body for 3 weeks. So
allow me a minute to piggyback off the meat thing. A lot of people who shun veganism, who shun meat eaters, this battle that's approaching right now. Basically what you said, I'm going to give you a graphic imagery. Like when you had that hamburger, that ground beef, and you fry it, right? What's left in that pan? That grease and oil, right? It's hot at first, but once that oil cools off, it calcifies.
Yeah.
Same thing goes on in your body. And then we have to cook that meat at such a high temperature, 300, 400, 500 degrees, to burn up all that blood-borne pathogens so it doesn't destroy us. But your body is only roughly 94, 97 degrees. So guess what that oil is going to do in your body? It's going to recalcify. It's going to dense right back up like your Crisco and sit on your bloodstream. You see? And another thing, we talk about meat being good for protein. When you cook it, you squeeze the protein molecules so tightly, your body does not have the appropriate stomach acid to break it all the way back down into the amino acids it needs for the protein you say you're eating it for. A steak is real tough. And your stomach acid is not like a real carnivore. And guess what? A real carnivore eating it fresh. You don't see no lion going on to no carcass that's been sitting on your grocery store shelf. It's eating it right there, fresh, blood, eating it right there. It ain't coming to no carcass. We're eating old carcass, cooking it so the blood-borne pathogens don't get in us. We're tightening the protein molecules and it's taking our weaker stomach to break it down and watching it putrefy in our stomachs. And wonder why our booty stink. We wonder why our booty
stink. A whole mouthful in.
We got all that fecal matter.
Right. Yeah. One thing Mark like to say is that cows they eat grass, and then you eat the cow for protein.
You eat the cow for protein.
You can't make that make sense. Yeah. You can't. You get more protein from, people say don't eat broccoli, but from broccoli and spinach than you do from beef.
But the key is, I think people understand, protein is 20 to 23 amino acids. The body makes the proteins. You give it the nutrients it needs, it's going to metabolize them into what you need. Yeah. You can't get protein from one source. It's 23 amino acids.
That's right.
Citrulline, arginine, all these things, all these enes. That's what protein is. Right. It ain't no meat. You can get those things from a lot of the beans, which has all of your nutrients. Beans is like a seed. All the potential beans. You see? So we have to look at it differently. You're not getting no protein. Your body can't digest meat. And you have to cook it so the pathogens don't kill you. You see? Our stomach acid is not strong enough to kill the pathogens like like real carnivores.
Exactly.
So when we do that, we got to get this protein myth away. I'm just giving you a scientific definition of what protein is. It's a group of amino acids that your body reconfigures, aka metabolism. Then it reconfigures it to make it what the body needs. Your body knows what it needs. You have to give it the bits and pieces, vitamin A, C, zinc, boron. It's going to do the rest. You're not in charge of yourself. You're not in charge of your heartbeat. That divine is in charge of that. You give it what it needs, it's going to do the rest. Treat your body right. Get off this protein myth of meat. It's cool. And another thing, it's also about what scale. We eat foods and
Too much.
meats. Well, of course, too much, but on a metaphysical sense, when we eat animals or when we things that show emotion, our lack of assimilation of these foods allows us to be. We take some. We are what you eat. So you eat a lot of cow, you get docile. You get a meh mood like a cow. You know what I'm saying? but if you eat waterborne, now I'm saying fish is slightly better because you have omega-3 fatty acids. Its ability to move like this has a stronger heart to move through the water. It doesn't have this, it has to move this way. So there's some scientific logic to eating fish. Plus, it comes from water. The body is 70+% water. So it's a little bit better for us to eat fish than go to the way other spectrum of land-based animals, which we have to cook and do all these things, because some fish you can eat raw.
Yeah.
You see?
You don't have to cook it to death.
You don't have to cook it. That's the small area that we can eat. If we have to have meat, what it quote unquote, we can eat fish, which fish is not known for protein. It's more for those omega-3, those good fatty acids. Right. The bodybuilders know you need also a good amount of oils, olive oil or coconut oil, which is good. It helps your body to upregulate those androgens, those androgen receptors. It aids in that. So those are little things we got to start to look at in terms of meat eaters for protein, or what the constitutes the type of meat we eat for our overall health. Things that display emotion, because I'm just going on a little riff a little bit. The chickens know they finna get their head cut off. Cows there's scientific facts or scientific experiments that know cows recognize there's a certain adrenaline rush that goes into that tissue. And when you consume it, your body don't understand cow adrenaline.
Right.
It's one. Right. It understands adrenaline, but not cow adrenaline, because it's shooting in there because it's about to die. Absolutely. These things are, well, I guess what involves me. You see what I'm saying? What makes me happy to understand, like, dang, on a metaphysical level, these things know what's going on, and what's in that body as we consume it is there in its genetic structure, in the tissue of that particular animal. We consume it and we don't even digest it enough to break it all the way down, so it putrefies and it begins to deteriorate our particular constitution as human beings.
Kind of like when we talk.
When I tell you teaching, I'm gonna bring this brother in. He got some questions, Brother Jess. But before I get to him, bro, I done got like 5 texts. I keep telling them to come on to the show with them, asking me to ask you all these questions, and I said I'm not gonna do it until they come on and ask you. But for this one particular sister, I just want to say this. She was like, thank you for saying that. She said she is literally sitting with her husband right now. She said, I needed him to hear that, because she's just started her vegan journey, and her husband is like, that's not happening. That's not happening. She said she appreciates that breakdown on the fact that the oil is just going to calcify as soon as it's in his body, because the body temperature. She said he's sitting there now like, now I get it. She said he just walked away. So again, that's a catalyst.
Right. And you get your protein more. You get better protein from plants and vegetables. So it's kind of easy to recognize.
Y'all stop being scared to come on and ask Brother Todd. Y'all watching in the shadows. Stop texting me. I ain't gonna say nothing else. All right. So we got Brother Jess joining us from Jess TV 33, and he has some questions or something to share with our panel expert tonight, Brother Todd King. All right, Jess, how you doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Good to see you. Looking well, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Definitely some great stuff here, especially me being from the islands of the Bahamas, and that's being like a natural way of life. There's nothing that got to be taught to most island people. That's just how we live. One thing also I will definitely like to have a question on, besides the actual fruits and vegetables and stuff. What about you think about epigenetics?
I mean, in terms, what aspect of epigenetics do you want to specifically focus on?
Your thoughts influencing how your body reacts.
Well, definitely thoughts. Yes, thoughts affect the way the body operates because it's almost like a back and forth. If you look at the balance, what you eat once again affects the way we think. So if you try to use the epigenetic aspect of it as far as thoughts affecting the body or thoughts affecting things around it, it's obvious what you put in your body will begin to affect the brain. And if the brain is not operating good, like your heart with blood pressure, then obviously you have a certain level of understanding as why your thoughts will be affected based off your diet. It's not even hard to separate. So to get deep into the scientific weeds of it, it's not necessary because it's obvious what you eat becomes through metabolism a part of you through your bloodstream. So yes, thoughts will be affected. And like I said earlier, it's documented that people who eat a lot of sweets tend to have, if you go into the psychology of it, there's a lot of trauma there. The need of love, the need of compassion is missing. So you compensate with sweets. Or a lot of salty foods tend to be people with a kind of aggressive or bitter or things like that. So there's a major connection between the two.
So you think the mental definitely something has to be taken into account almost before you actually understand that eating process?
Of course, because the way we think is what we think about is what we eat. It affects what we eat. We eat food that we like. Mm-hmm. We eat food that makes us feel good. You know, you're not going to eat something that's nasty. You're going to stop eating it. So I think if I'm not missing exactly where you're trying to get to, definitely the way we think or the foods we eat have a correlation. Yes.
Right. I totally agree. Also, I'm looking at, because before you even eat something, if your thoughts incorrect, your body will not receive it. Because you can eat all the best food you want to eat. That food will do nothing for you if you're not in a relaxed state. If you're not in a stress-free state. If you stress, you can eat the best food in the world and your body will not receive it the way it should. So that's why I'm kind of looking at the thought pattern of it as well. Because if your thought is wrong, the body's going to be wrong regardless of what you do with it.
And then if you inverse the idea, what you're eating will affect your thoughts. So what we're saying is the same thing. I'm not belaboring the point, but if you also what you said in terms of, I guess, blessings over the food, I guess using the life that you're trying to consume that makes you life. Because in my philosophy, life gives life. So if you're not speaking life into your food, it becomes a part of you. The life that's in that broccoli or the life that's in that eggplant or the life that's in the life cycle, if you're not accepting it as part of energizing your spirit, of course it's going to be a problem. Of course your body's not going to receive it properly because the God factor that's in the food is not resonating with the God factor that's in your body.
Well, I look at when we look at blessing or prayer, I think prayer is more of a calm state, to calm your mind down, to put you in a relaxed state, so that way your body is open to receive whatever nutrients that you should be able to accept. Because if you're upset or you're stressed, you're not going to receive it because you're in a fight and flight mode. Digestive system shuts down. So definitely a prayer is good to keep you relaxed and calm so you can be able to receive and take in what's good for you as far as a nutrient. And then when you look at the word food, right? The meaning of food, it promotes growth and life and it gives energy. So if you eat something, sometimes people like, man, that food was so good, I really go to sleep. If that ever happens, that means you got poison, literally, because now your body got to shut you down to recover itself. So you can't put nothing else back in your mouth to try to shut it back, so it can shut itself back down. When you eat, you should say, man, I have all my energy, I can jump on the roof, I can fly.
Right.
That's the true meaning of eating the right food. When you do feel that energy.
Excuse me, not to cut you off. Hopefully we don't overcook the food either, because cooking actually destroys the nutrients. It actually destroys those cofactors and enzymes that the body needs to, through metabolism, give you what you need to energize you. So the energy that's in that food, we break it down. So how can we properly receive the energy when the body breaks it down because it's been deteriorated? You see, so you're right on point. We just rocking out, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. We just, building right now. So I definitely agree.
Right. I totally agree. And again, I focus a lot on the mind and the brain because, without that, you don't exist pretty much.
Of course,
yeah.
the mind and the brain is always working. Even when you sleep, your brain is active. That's actually our connection to our higher beings. Is our mind, our consciousness, because it never sleeps. We sleep consciously, but subconsciously in the mind, those theta and beta and delta waves that we try to get into is always active. It's always being affected. So definitely, if you're not in a good mind vibration, the vibration of the food is not going to be effective for you. So you're totally correct. I mean, we can talk about this from various facets. So you know what it is. You just, you get a little bit from me, I get a little bit from you. We build, and you help your community, I help mine, and then we stronger as a nation, man. The island has a lot of those. They have more of the ancient wisdom, should I say, than we have in the States. But yeah, of course, I hear it. Respect.
That's true.
Okay, Brother Todd, I got one question. I'm gonna go ahead and read this one. I'm tired now. I ain't gonna keep doing this, but I just got a text. Now, listen, Black people. Let me just say this. Y'all see Brother Jess? He came on. Y'all know we be on Brother Jess all the time. But Brother Jess came on. He cammed up. He built with Brother Todd. You know what I'm saying? Asked his questions, gave his comment. Listen, that's what we're here for. We asked his brother to come on and give his time so that you all could come on camera and ask. If we don't come out in the open, something that you may have going on, sister or brother, I'm just going to read it, but something that you may have going on could help somebody else. If we have somebody in our community who can help us, let them help us. One thing that somebody told me a long time ago when I started my journey, I said, well, I haven't finished this. I haven't got certified in this. She said, baby, you've been certified by your people. That was an honor. When you're certified by your people, we're telling you who he is. He does have the credentials to go behind it too, but come on and get the information while the brother is here, giving us his time to answer these questions. A lot of you sisters are texting questions about your husband or whatever, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you, your input, you're watching, but come on and ask the source. Okay.
What a minute, man. What a minute, man. Let's
I don't, and that's what's
in the forefront, man. Don't sit
bro.
out. Lead. Come out there and find out about yourself. Show her that you want to, learn about yourself. You know what I mean?
If that ain't a move,
we got that confidence.
Yes.
Men, I'm gonna say this funnily. I don't want no women on here. Men come on this morning. Let's talk. Let's deal. You know what I'm saying?
And it's a great thing that Brother Todd just said. He said, learn about yourself, because one of the things we always hear is know thyself. And the first thing people normally talk about is history. You're not living 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago. You're living in now. So when you say know thyself, that's talking about you personally. So this brother is actually right when he said learn about yourself. You want to talk about people of 10,000 years ago, but you know nothing about your personal humanity.
Yeah,
exactly. So basically what she said is, she said when she's trying to get her husband to go see a naturopathic doctor, but she wants to know what is the doctor going to, what is that healthcare provider going to do to let him know what his main health concern is. I responded back to her and said what you said. Basically, you got to get the blood work done. You got to have you got to go take care of it on a cellular level first. You got to go see what's going on. But she's like, how does that person able to determine his main health concern over going to a traditional doctor who has like all this equipment, if that makes sense?
If we keep the same thing, what do you feel like is going on with you? Men, there's certain things everyone has to have good heart health, good lung health, good digestion. It's hard to get around. That's male and female. But for men, we know our specific thing is our libido, our testosterone, and what makes us a man. And secondly, if you know thyself, you know if you got a little stomach ache from time to time, right. you know what you feel. Let's not act like we don't understand. I got this discomfort that always comes when I eat. Should I say, you always get heartburn when I come and I eat a lot of tomato foods. You know that. So why is you going to the doctor to try to get him? You're going to the doctor. Yeah, you're going to the doctor, but you know what's wrong with you. You're just trying to find a way to figure it out. He's going to decipher based on his understanding of physiology and anatomy. He's going to tell you these things by correlating with your diet, by correlating with your lifestyle, and say, we're going to tweak these things to get that ailment that you have going on. And for us Western, going to be like, oh, you got this, input, output. We're going to put you on TRT. We're going to put you on statins. We're going to put you on Viagra. Huh? How about stopping the inflammation? How about stop obesity? How about stopping smoking and alcohol? I mean, drinking and alcohol. Like, how about stopping these things?
Simple.
You know what you're doing, and you know how you feel. Do you know yourself? Why are you going to a doctor asking him how to help you? It's cool. And I'm not saying don't ask a doctor because he's an expert in some type of biochemistry, but you know what you're feeling. You know if your ankle swell, you might have some gout because you're eating too much beef and you got uric acid build up. You know that. Every time you eat beef, your ankles start to hurt. You ain't got to ask the doctor that. You know why.
Right. That's right.
So don't, and you know, men, we have this thing, you don't go to the doctor. So that there's a weird macho mentality that we have.
Yeah.
It's part of us as men. I'm not going to push it, but it's part of us men to be strong. But psychologically, we fail to be strong enough for ourselves to seek help for ourselves because we don't know ourselves, or we're not confident in ourselves. And that's some subconscious things that the brother spoke to also about the thoughts and being able to receive things properly. You know, let's get away from some of this fear of being a strong man and be strong men in reality.
That's right.
Be strong men in reality. If something wrong with you, man, go figure it out.
Be about it. Stop talking about it. Be about it.
Don't wait till your dead prostate so swell that you barely pee and you're dribbling. Then it's like, I gotta go to the doctor. No. If you feel it, if your urine flow is not good, your prostate has swollen around your urethra because your urethra has so much bacteria and it's seeping into your prostate and it's inflamed, then guess what? You know something wrong.
Facts.
You don't get your libido up, you know something wrong.
Facts.
I gotta tell you that.
Being in denial.
That's true.
Yes, we strong as men, but we're much stronger when we admit and work our things out logically and not trying to emotionally be strong and show when we're tearing ourselves up inside physically. You don't know yourself.
I totally agree with that. Is that most men be strong in the wrong areas,
Yeah.
you know, and the wrong thought pattern of thinking. So yeah, we should be strong naturally, but in the things that help advance us and better us and put us in a better position. Not that I can handle this pain. I'm gonna take this pain.
Yeah.
You know, I bend over and I can't breathe sometimes.
But I'm strong.
And I'm strong. I'm a man. I can handle it.
Yeah.
You know, those type of stuff that's gonna break you down is you should not be strong in. Now we know it's a thought pattern or a program that was put there. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that was put there from our past that's in our genetics, but that's not the proper way to be strong, especially if it's hurting you as a person.
Yeah, you want to be strong through pain. What? Make it make sense, please. Thank you. Make it make sense.
And sadly, that happens all too often where men will suffer in silence, trying to be the provider. And some of that is just because they're just trying to get it done, take care of their family. You know, they put themselves on the back burner. And brothers, again, that is why Sister Crystal and I decided to do this, because, again, it's not just about telling you all that we love you, that we want you to be well. We have to try to, sometimes you won't go get those resources. So, you know, we took it upon ourselves to try to seek them out for you. And sometimes if you hear it from a Black man, like I said, it just resonates better than me telling you something, than Sister Crystal or your wife or whoever. So, you know, I've known Brother Todd about a year, maybe about a year, something like that. But at any rate, he's been very consistent with his work and very consistent. And I just can't stress enough. First of all, I'm grateful that he did come on. And I hope that, I hope that many of you are catching the information now. I know that you are because you're texting me. But family, y'all got to learn how to step up, use your resources. There are 3 brothers so far been on here tonight. Brother AC, Brother Moon, Brother Just being honest. So 3 so far. This is for men. This is a men's health edition about wellness. Again, anybody can get this information and use it. But this is our effort to try to be effective in action of showing you brothers that, hey, we want you to be well. We got to be better too, but we want you to be well. Because as I said in the last show, women in a community tend to mirror our men. When we see our men leading, we tend to lead in a sisterhood regard. We tend to do that. When we see our men fighting and being unwell, we tend to do that too. Why? Because those are the men we're going for. Those are them. They're showing the standards that they're going to accept. If he's unwell, he's telling you, I'm going to accept you being unwell. He's lowering his standard, so you're going to lower yours. You know, either we're going to rise or we're going to keep falling. You know, we really have some choices to make, family. We got to be serious about our health and wellness. You know, everything won't be resolved by going to the hospital or waiting until the last minute. Brothers, don't wait until your toe literally is hanging out of your boot before you decide I'm going to take a day off and go take care of this. Take your butt to the doctor when you feel the pain, or whoever. Go then. You know, put your health first, Black man. You know, we need y'all to be healthy. We need you to be well, mind, body, and spirit. Okay. So we're going to continue to provide these resources for you. I don't have any more questions personally. I am full. Like as Sister Crystal said, truly, I am full. I got a lot of information. I think I know a lot, but I don't know everything. But I definitely learned tonight. And I'm going to continue to share. So, any closing remarks, anything you just want to share? And one thing, Brother Todd, I know what I just said, but what would you say to Black men? What would you say, like, you know, as their brother? What message would you leave them with from your perspective?
I mean, we got to be more accountable, man, to each other, to our families, to our nation. There's something intrinsic in us. We are the lead. We are the front line. Men fight wars. Men fight wars. So if we're in a war, and we know this, it's obvious that they knew the attack on the man. They obviously knew that. So we have to embrace that challenge. That same challenge that we had, we have to embrace it now. It's time for accountability. We don't even need to worry about nation building any longer. For me, it's individual. It's too much individual trauma out here in this world. Know ourselves first. And if enough men know themselves, they will automatically be in the right frame. So accountability to ourselves, knowing that you don't feel good. It is what it is. Be accountable for that. Don't push it off thinking you're strong, because it's counterproductive. You're not being strong. You're actually weakening yourself by mentally forcing your body to reject the signals that it's giving you, or the pain signals that it's sending you. And secondly, as we become to get better with our health, our mind becomes better. Our minds become stronger. And it will rub off in our character. It'll rub off in our aura. The thought can create a certain charisma and aura around you when you walk around. Oh, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? Because you know you're treating yourself right. You're energetic. You have the energy. You have the thoughts. You have all these things working in you right now. So you're going to walk with it. You're going to walk in that melanated power. So now we have to be more accountable to ourselves first, before we can be accountable to our nation, before we can be accountable to our women. You know what I'm saying? We have to be accountable to ourselves in terms of health, in terms of getting our knowledge base up, in terms of getting our accountability up, in terms of what we know to do for ourselves and our family. That's all from within the man. It starts with us as individuals. I just feel accountability, man. Look in the mirror, the man in the mirror, the ego. Put those things in check. Take those flaws and dissect them. Understand that your flaws come from your inability to process things from those early ages. That 0 to 9, that pre-puberty, where you're assimilating and learning the world. Guess what? That becomes your baseline programming. And then when you go through your puberty or your adolescent years, now you're working off of that. So if you have a lot of trauma and gang violence, quote unquote, when you go through your regular life, you're going to feel that's normal. But it's not. You just conditioned through your environment. You assimilate a lot of things, and that's you think it's normal. So we have to rework our subconscious too. Rework our flaws. Rework our expressions. Rework our engagement with the world through our old genetic code. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in terms of helping men through the trauma. We got just as much trauma as women do right now. And if we don't start addressing it, we're not going to be good enough to help our women address and put them in that state of security that they're looking for. So now they don't have that state of security because we're not securing ourselves due to our flaws or being disrespected for stepping on our shoes. Those things become very, very destructive. And it starts with us being more accountable of what's disrespect, what's our ego, what's our flaws that we're trying to cover up to the world, and just embrace them. Hey, I'm not the biggest person. I ain't gonna lie like I'm 200. My genetic frame wasn't that. I'm cool with that. I'm agile, I'm quick, I got endurance, and you mess around, you in trouble.
We'll find out.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I'm confident in it because I can't win them all.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the biggest men fall thinking they big. Yeah. So we got to allow ourselves to be somewhat soft to understand our feminine emotional side. I ain't saying dive deep off into it, but be accountable for it and understand we are human beings, and it makes us stronger because we're able to have that level of balance to be what we need for our women and our children and be strong for ourselves.
Yeah. Ashe. Brother Jess, did you want to share anything, any
Yeah,
questions, or leave us with anything?
definitely. I want to touch on some things that I've learned. To continue building on what the brother was saying. Definitely, your gut is very important. You gotta definitely be careful what you put in it, like the brother been saying himself, and be able to see how you could naturally flush the gut out of the things that is not good for it, because the gut definitely is a center part to your life, and of course your blood as well too. So it's very good to find things to cleanse the blood. So your gut, your blood, and be able to feed the cells the nutrients that it needs. So those three things are very vital for good health. And of course, you got to be as much as you can as possible. It may not be this easy, but as much as you can possible to be stress free. You got to be stress free the best you can. Even if you got to tell your sister, your brother, your uncle, your mom, sometimes your dad, I just need a time alone. Anything that's stressing you out, you got to move away from it. Your life depends on it, literally. So you got to be able to do those things. And also dealing with the mind, I think it's very important too to ask ourselves questions like, why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? Because sometimes we believe that we know stuff. We think that we're doing the right thing. But sometimes when you go back into the genetic memory, as you think back within yourself, you will realize this was something that happened in the past. It might be in a trauma, might be in a program, might be in a television show you watch to make you think that way. So you got to question yourself a whole lot to be able to try to get the best response or the best action that you want to take. Like the brother's breaking down, growing up as to puberty. I know there's normally like a 7-year cycle. As a child from the womb to age 7, normally you're dealing with the subconscious, you're taking in information. Then you got 7 to 14, you're dealing with the mental part to it, how you feel about life. Then from 14 to 21, now you're dealing with the second is the emotional part on how you feel about life. 14 to 21 is the mental part on how you think about life, how you feel about life. Huh?
How you engage life, how you feel as yourself engaged in life.
That's correct. But I'm saying that because there's a lot of times we do stuff truly believing this is us. And I was in this position too, and I'm still in the position because I still got to catch myself. We will say this is who we are. There's no such thing as who we are.
Yeah.
That don't exist. That's a program that's a trick. We don't. If I say I'm Justice, I'm not Justice. Maybe next week I might be the flying guy, because at this moment I'm just saying I'm this in this moment of time. There's no such thing as who you are, because you didn't born with no information of this empirical world. You gain the information,
brother. Let me build with you for a minute, right? Through my meditation, when I calm down my subconscious, I intuit. I feel that the child does know everything when they come in the world. But as they're engaging themselves, they forget, because their 5 senses are not processing the outward world, how to deal with it. So you forget. You know what a tree is intrinsically, but as you're learning how, as a child, you're programmed to learn the things you're coming into. You forget that. When you come in, you don't have no consciousness of the world, but you know everything. You see? So when you learn and being programmed to the world, now you're adopting, your senses are now being outward, and you're covering up that knowledge that you have genetically. You see, and you assuming these programs, so now you have to work through that. So when you go to meditation, you calm down the mental and the subconscious, and you sit there, and then Akashic record comes out. Those things comes out. So I feel we do know everything, but the child cannot speak. The child cannot tell you what it knows. And as it gets older, it can speak. It's assimilated the world already to itself, and it forgets. It can't articulate that because it now has been programmed to the world as it stands. And those are things that I feel like is that from the mouth of babes, from the mouth of babes, you should know, because kids can say things and parents be like, huh? They don't know where it came from. It just came out their mouth. I feel that the child does know. They just can't articulate. And as they grow, the soft part of their brain becomes harder. So their brain matter begins to assimilate and grow. We don't even use most of our brain. Why is that? We don't only use 5 to 10%. So what the other, we already have the other is not scientifically documented that we don't use enough of our brain. And if we could tap into it, we have superhuman powers. But it's difficult when you got to work through all this trauma, all this bad food, all this programming, all these genetic code that's passed along. We lose it. We lose it.
I could agree with you to extent of being that we have our ancestors from the mother's father straight down DNA information inside of us. I know we are called the carceretic part. But what I'm saying is that when you come here, you develop a new personality.
Right.
And this personality is actually
your identity.
Specifically for you as a person. Identity, yeah. Correct. So that identity is what I'm talking about. I mean, and I truly believe we should just stick with that all-knowing part. But it don't happen. I mean, you really don't see it happening.
Right. And I'm gonna make this last statement and I'm gonna be through. Like, who were you before your parents named you? You assumed that name. You adopted and accepted it as being your name, but in some cultures, they waited to give their child a name. Their tendencies, the stars, the sun gave them a name, and their name resonated with their spirit. Not Todd. What is Todd to my spirit? But I assumed it and accepted it as my identity. Correct. And that was the first programming that took me from my divine self. Just the name itself. And over time being called that name by habit, I identify with that name. And there is the disconnect that we begin to do. So I totally agree. Strictly off the name itself. What this spirit, this soul comes into the world with none of that. No identity. And we assume that as life continues, our parent gave us this name and our grandparents did this and our grandparents did that. And we accept it as our identity. Now you get into the metaphysical. Now you get into those spiritual aspects that we tap into knowledge of self and that God-like omnipresent factor. Very true.
I totally agree. Your character that you come with should be able to give that name for you.
Yeah. I'm done.
And just speaking on that name, y'all, that's true. That's very, very true, Todd. My dad did that. I didn't have a name for like 2-3 weeks, until he just decided to name me something I never live up to, but it is what he did.
No, he gave you something to live up to. That's
you know what? And honestly, that's what Amun said yesterday. He said, "No, it's what you're striving for." Because my name, Camila, it's Kemetic. It means the perfect one or perfection. Renee is rebirth, reborn. I ain't that, but that's what he said. That's what So yeah, I get that, but but I go by Mila because I'm not.
See, okay.
But I get what you're saying. That's real though. Like a lot of people don't do that. They just have a name that they thought of, and I'm gonna throw it on my child. So this is who you are.
Throwing the whole spirit off because you ain't.
Right, your soul has already been here. Yeah, but you're here. This is who you are.
You're not paying attention to the tendencies that come because in some cases the time you were born, like in the cold, like I'm a Leo. So I have a fiery constitution because guess what? The sun is the dominating factor during that time. And likewise, when you're born in the colder time, let's say a Sagittarius or a Scorpion, or the fall time, you have that mutability. So the ancients knew that. Yeah. When you were born, that time frame that you came into the physical era is indicative of your spiritual constitution. Before we start building out and all that, then we trying to get you to yourself for real now.
Right. Ooh, I'm gonna leave that alone. I almost said something about cancers because all of them they
super emotional.
Anyway,
born during that time of fiery emotion. It's not as fiery as June, but it's earlier in the springtime where you have a little bit of emotion of the newborn spring, and you got that fire of the summer and them hot months. It's a mix right there. That's where you find your constitution at.
So do you guys think that's the environment of the people that created that, or someone could be born not around people and just become that anyway?
I think that I think you come in with certain tendencies. The genetic material again, it's already there. The food only helps your physical body to grow. The experiences help your mental body to grow, but your spiritual, your higher levels, your intellectual, your bliss body, your nirvana, all these extra aspects that we never tap into is part of our spiritual genetic code. It's already there. But how we program ourselves determines if we're able to flourish in it or if it's our source of confusion and depression and issues. It's already there. Because most people, I'm going to say 95+% can identify with their zodiac once they first realize what it is. Ain't that something? Before we even first realize what it is, you can identify with those characteristics intrinsically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The ancients knew that because they lived in a world that didn't have television, this, that. All they knew was existence. If you go back and take away all of the lights, the cameras, the phones, and that, what was life like?
Well, I was wondering, y'all think that zodiac is really based upon the actual sign itself or the environment the people produce during that time of the sign?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I think both of them. I think me personally, if I had to draw the dividing line on something, I feel you come with a certain level of spiritual characteristics. Your genetic code is there. You have your mother's nose, your daddy's arms. You have that. So along with that, you come with certain tendencies. And those tendencies tend to lead you to be in connection with the overall cosmic sense, which you're just a physical representation of. You're a physical representation of the cosmic sense. So I think you come with a certain amount of omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence. You come with that. But we forget by assimilating in this dense reality that we call the matrix, the programming, whatever.
Go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure, because are you saying the personality one has was here before, or the personality is a new personality?
The tendencies are there. The personality is accepted through your name and your environment, which is what you said. But the tendencies are there. That is almost like your spiritual blueprint that you navigate the world through already. And you get an imprint on top of that. It's almost like your programming. Your computer comes with a certain motherboard already there, but you put programs on top of it that your processing brain goes through to determine to get an input and output. So I supremely feel you come with certain tendencies. I'm not saying personalities. I'm saying tendencies, vibrations that resonates with you. And these things are compounded by our physical existence and experience. The tendencies are there.
What is you could break down a little more what is tendencies to you?
Okay. What's your zodiac? Hypothetically, just play the zodiac game with me.
Pisces.
Pisces. Now, when you first heard of Pisces and the characteristics, could you identify with them?
I mean, I'm
going don't you do that.
I'm going to relate to something that I'm taught supposed to be me.
You didn't know. You didn't know what Pisces. I said the first time.
I can't use first because I wasn't me that time.
Okay, I accept that. I accept that premise. But for me, and I'm gonna say, like I said, 90+% of the people will identify with that when I do feel the emotion. I do feel this. I do feel that before they even knew it. Where does that come from? Didn't nobody tell you that? Your environment didn't tell you that. It's just resonated with you from the beginning as soon as you initiated and found out. Now, you may not feel that through your programming. I said through not program, but as you receive your initiation to the world, you be like, nah, that ain't true. But for majority of the people who understand themselves, they're like, I can identify with all that. I feel that. And that's a tendency that you had before you knew that the zodiac represented certain things about you.
I see what you're saying now. I mean, but me, I look at it like I'm nothing but possibility of everything at the same time. So I could be Pisces, Leo, Virgo. I don't look at a specific box. I mean, I don't. We have no specific box unless we allow it to play on us.
Maybe we should exchange, and I can get more into depth where we can talk back and forth about how you get into that, because I know where you're going, and we can build on that particular thing. But I know what you're saying. We agree about 70%, right? 70-80% we agree. I'm a man of statistics. I know we don't totally do. We 70,
Gotta love Todd the diplomat. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Listen, cause Jess gonna keep you going all night. Just
I'm doing a perspective show.
Hey, if he can swim, we could go.
oh, he can swim. Y'all be some swimming
Once he
fish,
can
but I'm gonna
swim,
get
we
off
all
of
right.
here.
I'm going to land.
Sister Crystal, and you had came on a little later, Jess, but Brother Todd had kind of already mentioned the things to take for like what you were talking about your bowels. If I can, elimination, excuse me. But he said psyllium husk and cigar cascara.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had talked about that kind of early on, but I just wanted to share that with you too. Of course, you can play.
You said, but say it again. I'm sorry, Sister Camila.
Child, Todd, go ahead, because
Cascara sagrada. It's a Dr. Sebi. It's a herb. It's a food substance that stimulates the small intestine to excrete the mucus that's caught in the intestinal wall. When you digest food, the small intestine, the food that breaks down, the small intestine pulls it, and there's a villi that pulls the nutrients across the barrier to get into your bloodstream. If that is covered up with fecal matter and things of that nature, the toxins fail to cross that barrier. So once you eliminate with the psyllium husk and push all of that food out, now the cigar cascara helps to stimulate the muscle contraction to excrete the built-in toxins on the small intestinal wall, so you don't get stuff like diverticulitis. You see, diverticulitis is like a pus bump of bacteria on the lining of the wall. So it excretes that so your body can fully eliminate, then you come through with more psyllium husk and water, so you can kind of help that transition from nutrients to the blood without that fecal matter.
So I'm gonna throw something in now, see how you feel about this, right? I think that we ain't supposed to use toilet tissue.
Excuse me?
Okay.
We ain't supposed to say, Mila?
We don't supposed to use toilet tissue.
We gonna chop, man. We gonna chop, bro.
Right?
Yes. Wait,
Jess.
Jess, hold up. I gotta interject. Jess, I want you to reach out to Brother Todd on Facebook and talk about toilet tissue and
I'm looking for you. No,
we're not doing that. No, not tonight, Jess.
I'm looking for you.
Moving on, Sister Crystal, do you have any closing remarks? Jess, not tonight.
Okay, that one got me. That one got me, Brother Jess. But no, I appreciate all the dialogue, great conversations. And, Brother Todd, I appreciate you and everything you do for the movement. And it was a great build and gives me energy and keeps me energetic because, we do it, we try to teach our children, our babies, because whether we, I know my granddaughter goes out there, when she learns something, everybody gonna learn.
Everybody knows.
Everybody she come in contact with gonna learn. So you tell her she need to drink more water, she gonna tell everybody she know you drink more water. And so that's the beauty of teaching our babies. And once we have the information, we teach. There's that proverb that says, when one teaches, two learn. And so it's just great to build upon the knowledge. And thank you for the great information. I know the viewers were engaged. So many great positive feedback on the conversation. So, and thank you, Jess, because you always bring in a whole nother level.
Always
conversation. So you just implore me. But I did want to leave one resource. It's Working the Roots, the over 400 years of traditional African American healing. And so this is a great resource for me. I always look through it sometimes. And also, the Dr. Africa Holistic is over here on my other bookshelf. I didn't have time to grab it. But there are a lot of resources out there in books form and in brother form. So thank you all for coming on.
Yes.
Truly grateful.
It's a labor of love. Yes. This is what I feel is a purpose. I went to the motherland. They gave me more energy, and I think that we all bring it back to the people here, and we just we're still trying to build. We're still trying to find our way. We're still trying to not only build a nation through our identity, as the brothers say, but individually getting back to our God factor.
Right.
Ashe. Before Jess gets started, let me just go ahead and say, no, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Jess. I do appreciate your contribution. I appreciate you coming on, brother. I was like, oh, what is Jess about to do? What is Jess about to do? But anyway, I do appreciate you, Brother Todd. Again, much gratitude. Much gratitude. I appreciate you. We went way over time, but that's okay. We got some good information. Thank y'all just so much for just hanging in there. I'm definitely going to share. I saw a couple of people saying that they're definitely sharing. Please do. The information needs to get out there. If you all need to reach out to Brother Todd, you can find him on Facebook under Todd King. If you want to, he sells some great products. He is a wealth of knowledge. Reach out to him. You know, maybe the show was just too open for you. Reach out to him privately and consult him for his services. He is there. We have a resource.
We've helped women too now. Fibroids, endometriosis, we do that too.
And I said that like in the beginning, it's not just this is a men's health edition, but sisters, he's got some information for you too. He can really, he's a wealth of knowledge, period. Okay. Like I said, I'm just saying, reach out. Okay. That's all. I can't stress that enough. And on that note, again, thank you all. And I want you to remember this, especially after today's show. Please, if you remember nothing else, nothing, absolutely nothing tastes as good as being healthy feels. Until next time, peace.
Peace.